All right, so now I'm recording.
Okay, cool.
Cool.
Okay. All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Olivia Park, and I'm a female health and performance coach, and I'm here with Erwin. Erwin is a coach based in Shanghai, and with everything that's happened with the coronavirus, and everything kind of starting in Asia around end of January, February, I thought it would be really cool to have a conversation with Erwin about how things are in Asia now. Me also being in Korea, I'm in New Zealand at the moment, but a lot of my clients are Asia based. Shanghai is sort of starting to open up a little bit after the last couple of months, you know, gyms being closed and being in kind of that lockdown. So Erwin, as a coach and as an individual living in Shanghai, he is just starting to sort of come out of this now. So I think it would be really, really cool to just chat about how he and I have kind of managed things over the last couple of months with our clients that have been going through this as the rest of the world kind of comes into this. So Erwin, how are you?
I am good. So thanks, Olivia. Again, my name is Erwin. I live in Shanghai. I'm a remote fitness coach here as well. It's been a kind of a wild experience, at least in Shanghai. So we had the first wave here pretty much at the end of January, which is at an interesting time leading into the Chinese New Year. Pretty much at the end of the Chinese New Year, that was it was extended. And it was kind of just week by week, day by day, kind of figuring out what was going to happen. And at least for the fitness industry, it was, I mean, a bit of a hit, right? So if you were used to going to the gym and you couldn't anymore, you couldn't have your place to go to, it was a little bit hard. But what's cool now is that at least within the last, I'd say 2 to 3, almost 4 weeks, let's call it, things have been starting to open up again. So there is hope. There is light at the end of the tunnel for you guys that are either just starting either quarantine, social distancing, whatever you want to call it. That that there's going to be a time where, you know, if you were a gym goer and, you know, group exercise or whatever, you're going to have that time to go back and kind of do your thing and be happy in that space again.
Yeah, awesome. So I think we can sort of start there. But first of all, Erwin, do you just want to give us a little bit like a 2-minute rundown of actually why you're in Shanghai and what kind of coaching you do there, and sort of, a little bit more about you.
Yeah, so I have been in Shanghai now for the last 7 years. I moved here in 2013. I initially was brought out to help be the program director and head coach for a few CrossFit affiliates that were starting up in Shanghai. 2017, I left the last affiliate I was at, and then I decided that I wanted to focus more on working one-on-one with people. So I started working one-on-one people within a hybrid system, taking on some personal training clients, as well as starting my remote coaching business, which is ALFA Coaching. And then from there, just kind of growing the business organically, working with individuals, busy professionals, working with other coaches, kind of mentoring them, how to work with people one-on-one and how to build better relationships is kind of what I felt my unique ability was. And so that's what I was helping them do. And then, I mean, like I said, right now, just kind of navigating the whole situation that we're in now. And it's trying to use my experiences to really do that, to help clients and to help other people that are kind of going through the same thing right now.
Awesome. So, I want to kind of start with I was just going to look it up here, the post that you did yesterday. So Erwin wrote a really great post just sharing about his first day back at the gym after his gym in Shanghai being closed for 2 months. And there were some really beautiful like nuggets in there that I think that for all of us that have just gone into this, you know, social distancing, quarantine kind of situation where gyms are closed and all of this kind of stuff, wondering what the heck is going on, and for those of us that are really into fitness and love training and stuff like that, there is that real kind of sense of fear, you know, that you know, what is going to happen with my strength and fitness, and something that we love so much has kind of been taken away from us. But I think that would be really cool, Erwin, if you just shared with us, like, kind of that, after 2 months coming back out of that, your first day back in the gym yesterday, and how that you can kind of give that hope to us, and what are the kind of things that you learned from these couple of months not being able to be in the gym, and how you're feeling now.
Right. So I've been, I'll give a background. I started training pretty much in high school, like probably a lot of you have, or, maybe haven't. So for me, the gym just kind of became this thing that I love to do, this thing that, that was my space, and, what made me feel good. So I'm 36 now, and when we heard that the gym, had to close down, there was part of me that's like, oh, I can't get into the routine of, being in the gym. Kind of that fear is like, can I do the same thing at home that I was doing before? Now, I'm fortunate enough, I do have some stuff at home, so I could play with, some weights, etc. I didn't necessarily have to makeshift, a kettlebell or a weight or something, with a backpack. And so that initial 2 months, it was more like, okay, let's see what we have at home. I work with a coach as well, and I just told him, hey, I'm going to be at home. Let's just train the way that we would normally train. And that's what we did for 2 months. Nothing really changed in terms of, what I was trying to work on. We worked within the constraints that we had, and, things that I, had deficits in, whether it was strength, whether it's movement, we just focused on hitting that. We focused on just a lot of stuff that you may neglect to do, when you have weights, because like, oh, you have a weight, let's do this, versus thinking of different ways you could progress through movement. So going back to the gym, it was nice being able to leave the house, being able to kind of get into that same mindset. Okay, I'm going to the gym, I'm going to go through my routine, hop on my scooter, take it the same route to get there. And as soon as I got there, in China, they still have some protocols before you get in, but I got in, I was like, okay, I'm just going to go about the same thing. So I set my bag down, I put on my gym shoes, etc. And I had my program for my coach, and I just I went about it. I was just like, okay, this is like, it was really like I never left. And I think that's the biggest takeaway, is that if you're a gym goer, you're going to love being there. You're going to enjoy this experience being back. I went in with the mindset of, I knew I was probably doing these certain weights before, and, to set myself up for success, my mind wasn't in the place where like, let me try to do what I did before. Just knowing that I want to be able to build up slowly, especially as, we don't know what'll happen. Like if they say like, okay, you can't go to the gym anymore again. It's like, okay, fine. I didn't want to set myself up for that expectation. So doing my reps and sets, doing it with this now kind of this idea, okay, I was moving really well and concentrated at home. Let's just do this coming back in the gym, while you're adding the load, having that mindset, this is what I applied and learned. Let's put that back in. Right. Yeah. When it was all said and done, I was like, you know what? That time that I spent at the 2 months at home, number one, I was able to look at how I moved and move better. I was able to apply that to the same movements I was doing at the gym, but maybe with, okay, a barbell this time. Realizing that the interaction that I had personally with my coach is the same interaction that I would, want to have with my clients, and how I kind of emulate that type of relationship and kind of what I'm going through to them. And at the same time, just knowing that, nothing really left. If you're at home, no matter what you're going to be doing, if you're training with the right intention, with kind of whatever the focus is that you're going to be on, when you get back to the gym, it's going to be there, and you're just going to apply everything you learned back into the gym. And that was my biggest thing. And it's there and it comes back. Nothing is lost. As long as you're even at home training with some intention, right, with the things that you want to do. And obviously helped for me, being a coach and also having a coach at the same time help that mindset.
Yeah, I love that so much. And that's something that I have been, expressing to my clients as well, who are just, many of them went through that same thing, like that first way when they were at home, like January, February, but many of them that are in New Zealand or the States, sort of different places around the world, are just going into this now. And that's something that I try to share with them, and also, you know, on social media as well, that no matter where we are, the essence is still the same. The essence is still the same. And so it really is an opportunity for us to look at the hows and whys of what we're doing. But if we are kind of like stressing out about not being able to go to the gym, looking at, well, what is this actually to me, and how can we take this opportunity, like this beautiful opportunity, to be out at the gym, and to go back, like you said, a little bit better. So I think that is such a brilliant lesson for people. But I'm curious, like, how did you manage your expectations in the beginning? I mean, did you have those fears of losing strength, losing fitness? And how did you and your coach work together to kind of like shift those expectations, and sort of your mindset around that, if that was something that came up for you?
You know, honestly, for me personally, it would, this might be just because now I'm a little bit more experienced and I have a better understanding of kind of why I'm training. So it came down to number one, like what my goals and intentions were for training. So my goals and intentions for training, at least at this point in my life, is really to enjoy movement. And I like training because it helps me, number one, practice the same things that I coach my clients in doing. So, I mean, I wasn't that client who was, you know, getting ready for a competition or whatnot,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So let's say if I had a client in that stage where, you know, where, let's say we're just gearing up for a PR. They put in all this time and all this training into getting that PR, and then boom, they couldn't do it.
Yeah.
The way I try to shift that mindset for them is, okay, just having an honest conversation, right? Sitting down and then saying like, hey, this is what we're working in right now. Okay. You've put in all this hard work and that's awesome. I think now, you know, pretty much, what do you feel that your goals are going to want to be in this time? So even for me, when I talked to my coach, it was more, hey, I know I'm here. My intention for working at home, these are going to be my goals. So I think being able to, let's say, if with my clients, I sat them all down, or, you know, had a talk with them, and was just like, what do you want to do right now? What are your goals? What are your intentions with the training? That way, when, you know, let's say I'm putting out workouts for them or designing workouts for them, they can see that and they can kind of just switch mindset into, okay, this is my goal now, versus the goal of like PRing, because we know we can always kind of come back to that when the time is right.
Yeah.
So really just kind of, you know, switching that mindset, but collectively, right? Not me just being, you're going to do this. It was like, is this okay with you? Does that make sense?
Collaboration,
Yeah.
100% collaboration with your clients. Yeah. And that's something that I kind of did as well. It was like, okay, where can we turn the dial up in different parts of your life? And we sort of can turn the dial down on, you know, your training, and really just move into a place of allowing your training to carry you through this time. That if it is something that, you know, something that is meaningful to you and important to you, everything that you've done up until this point, it's like you've been training for this. You know, all the work that you've done in the gym, you've been training for the ability to not be in the gym and be okay, if you know what I mean. Like, to still keep your strength, keep your fitness. I mean, things will change a little bit, sure, but your muscle mass and stuff like that, but everything you've done up until this point is like, this is what you've been training for, to deal with things like this, you know. And I think that goes a lot with the mindset stuff as well. I mean, that's a really big piece in my coaching, is working on mindset, and, you know, all the podcasts and all the books and, you know, work that we kind of do on ourselves to better ourselves. It's like, we've been training for this, to deal with this, and kind of be like, okay, cool. Like, how can we come out of this a little bit better?
Right. And that's the thing. I think, you know, when it's all said and done, that's the important thing you want, right? You want to be able to come out of it better, and you want to be able to, you know, use the training that you've had in the past, use the training that you're doing now to achieve that.
Yeah. So with some of your clients, you know, I know that motivation, like training at home, motivation is kind of a difficult thing. I know that I really struggle with that. And I've had to kind of put things in place to help me move into like the zone of training when you're kind of all in this one place. Is that something that came up for you with your clients, like those clients that have been in the same position as you, like 2 months not being able to go into the gym, and how did you kind of manage that?
So for one of my clients, actually, so she transitioned into, you know, office into being home, and she has 2 younger children.
Mm,
So when we had this conversation, and she's an in-person client, so she couldn't come to the gym and meet me. When we had this conversation about, you know, how are you doing? I I really just let her do her thing in that sense, right?
yeah,
Because for her, it was a time where stressful time. She had to navigate exactly what she was doing. You know, the kids weren't in school, she was at work. You know, I don't know if you know, the helper was there at all. So it was just all the family in this one spot.
yeah,
Basically, when we transitioned, she didn't work out right away. You know, she still had to navigate, okay, how do I organize this thing at home?
mm,
What I did for her, I just kept in communication. You know, once a week I'd be like, how you doing? You know,
mm,
listen to her and just waited. So I mean, I waited for her for about, let's say, let's call it about a month and a half, right?
mm,
For her personally. And when she was ready to come to me like, hey, now I kind of want this structure, I figured out kind of how to navigate this thing at home, you know, you know, structuring time with with her husband, with her kids, hiring, like, you know, in-house tutor, etc. It's like, now this is all set. Let's work on me.
mm,
So for me, I never, with her particularly, I didn't push her. I listened to what she wanted at the time. And then when she came to me, okay, this is all kind of set in place. Now I'm motivated to work out. Now that I have all this kind of out of the way, now it's time for me to train. So it was more having a
yeah,
conversation, at least with her, letting her figure out on her end what she wanted to do, versus again, me coming in. Okay, you're at home, like freaking out, like, oh, you know, what's gonna happen? We're gonna keep this. I just let her. Okay, when you're ready, um, let's come together and again figure out a way that'll work best for you with the schedule that you've already created with your kids in order to keep you motivated and moving. And I think that's the biggest thing, just kind of starting slow and, you know, as a coach, listening. You know what I mean?
mm. Yeah, totally. And I think that, you know, right now there is this massive dichotomy in the fitness industry where it is either do this home workout, do all these workouts, do all the virtual classes, like you, and it's the same messaging as there always has been. Like, do more, do more, do more, you know, exercise more, eat less, because that's how we're going to deal with this, right? And so there's that kind of going on. And then the other kind of side of the spectrum is saying, like, rest, you don't have to do anything. And so, you know, once again, the fitness industry is kind of giving us this black and white thinking about how we should be dealing with this pandemic. And everybody is coming at it from different circumstances and situations, and family life and children and work and managing all of that. And so I think it is so important to allow people the space to come to it themselves and within their like bubble in their family of what is actually going to work for them. And I think that for a lot of people that are like, you know, A-type personalities, you know, go to the gym 5 times a week and are really kind of strict, it's actually a nice thing to have no expectations and have that time to actually figure out what it is that their rhythm is going to look like with this. But then some people do want to have that structure.
Yeah, and I think, and that's fine too, right? So, for us as coaches, and for me, it was a matter of figuring out, or knowing intuitively kind of like who might be that person that needs to figure out on their own, and then just being there to support them when you can. And then those clients that were, I need something right now. It's like, all right, let's bang it
Yeah,
out and work on that together, you know?
totally. So what is it with the last couple of weeks, with everything that's kind of gone on in the rest of the world? You know, Asia's sort of gone through this already. Now the rest of the world is kind of catching up. What are your kind of thoughts with, you know, what we're seeing on social media with so much free stuff, and, you know, people kind of freaking out a little bit about this? I mean, what are your kind of thoughts, and what is your advice for people right now, having, you know, gone through this already?
I think for having gone through this already, my personal opinion, this is my coaching bias as well, right?
Yeah.
Is that for people that are out there and let's say that aren't used to working out, there are a lot of things on the internet, a lot of, free workouts, et cetera, that you can use. I think the important thing is for the individual or for that client is to kind of really ask yourself, why you want to do what you want to do, right? So whether it's, okay, I want to do, 100 burpees a day. It's like, okay, that's fine if that's what you want to do. At the same time, for other people who have thought about their training in a progressive manner, right? I think there's still ways that you can definitely try to progress getting better without doing 100 burpees a day, right?
Totally. Yeah.
And that's how, with our clients, I looked at it that same way too. It didn't mean like, okay, using all this crazy periodized planning of reps and sets and all this kind of stuff, but it's really thinking about, okay, if we wanted to progress in certain ways, again, coming back to the intention of, what you're doing at home, what are ways that we can do that, right?
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to mean like, 100 burpees a day, unless the goal for you is just, okay, I just want to do 100 burpees a day. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
But there's also different ways where, like I said, you can structure it to get stronger while you're at home. There are ways that you can structure things to work on, we'll call it just conditioning while you're at home, right? To get your heart rate up and look at that, in an intelligent fashion without having to be like, as a coach, right, just super nerdy about writing it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And, you know, one of my clients who's in Shanghai, actually, over that month, one of the things that we did was progress her pike handstand push-up, or pike push-up. And so, you know, started with a decreased range of motion. And then by the end of the month, she was doing a full pike handstand push-up, and
Nice.
I think that is such a, doing these kind of things that you normally maybe wouldn't do in the gym is pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, even from we'll call it, I guess, a corrective standpoint, right? So the boring stuff. That way, when like I said, when you're going back into the gym, hey, I really kind of fixed up that achy shoulder or achy knee that I might have had, in the past.
Totally. Yeah. So I just want to ask you one more question. For those people that don't have like any equipment at home, did you have any clients that you were working with that like didn't have anything, and how did you kind of navigate that with them?
Well, for them, the people that didn't have any equipment at home, basically I took a look first at, okay, what's the kind of the space that you have to work out in, right? Because right now I have some clients in Hong Kong that are, now in kind of lockdown. And if you've been to Hong Kong, that's a fairly kind of small space. So I asked them, yeah, exactly. If like, number one, like, do you have to be inside or outside? Do you have to, can you go outside or not? So with those people, it was looking for me personally. I like, okay, what are we doing in our current training? What are things that we can do in terms of the movements that we can do, squatting, pulling, pushing, etc. And if they didn't have equipment, it's just getting creative. I mean, like, you look at this thing as whatever you're going to call it, functional movement, right? So if I'm going to use a barbell, what do I have at home to mimic that? You don't need like a kettlebell, to lift some weights. I have like a heavy stuff in the house, like, okay, I'm gonna carry this, whatever. I had one client, I had him do like, let's call it back squats with his kid on his back, or with, you know,
Yeah.
his wife on his back. And it's a way to kind of just have fun with it too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Totally. And I think that amongst all of this, it's kind of like what I was saying before, is that, you know, how can we leverage our fitness? Like, how can we lean on our physical training to actually carry us through this time, like mentally and physically, you know, to keep us mentally and physically well. And amongst all the kind of chaos that is happening, how can we turn it around so we're just seeing it as, you know, extracting joy, you know, 30 minutes a day, 20 minutes a day, like however long you've got. And that can be a moment in the day amongst the chaos that is still dependable, and still we can rely on it to bring us that same feeling, that same essence of why we did it in the gym anyway.
Yeah, 100% agree with that.
Yeah, awesome, Erwin. So we'll leave it there. I think that we're about to get cut off here. So is there anything that you would like to, anything else that you'd like to share?
No, I mean, if you're going through it right now, like just starting social distancing, quarantine, it, you know, like I said, you know, find that time to enjoy movement, basically, and just know that it gets better. And find a support system, whether it's going to be friends, peers, colleagues, a coach, and or a community out there.
Awesome. Such good advice. Thank you so much, Erwin, for chatting with me. And hopefully this is helpful. And I think, you know, like I said at the beginning, it's, you know, you coming out the back of this now, it's a way to kind of give everyone else a little bit of hope, I think, for
Sure.
sort of going into it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Erwin. Wait, stay there. Are you there?
Yeah.
Okay.